evening, Winthrop votes. How we doing, Scott?
Good. Hey, do me a favor. Go on your phone. Go to the Winthrop votes page.
Okay.
And then share the live stream.
Hold on. I can just do it like this, too.
Yeah. Share it on. Yeah, I do.
My phone's too small. All right, hold on.
I just got the iPhone 13 Super
How come
Max.
How come I don't see the live stream on my Winthrop votes?
Takes
page?
like 12 seconds. There's a little delay.
What did you just get?
I got the Super Max iPhone 13 thing. It's like a small iPad.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. More
Are you seeing it?
I did. I just shared it, and I'm sharing it to my Open Winthrop Schools page too.
So, you might see a little. This is odd. So I had my while we wait for people to come into the live stream, I had my what do you call it? Breaker panel.
Yes, circuit breakers.
And the breaker box outside had them updated today. Everything. So it's got rid of the 1988 version. Got it all updated. But right now, I have the lights, like those strips, like you have up top of your thing, and they're like flickering this quick red. Like, what the hell is going on there?
Well, you might. So you had a service upgrade, is what it sounds like.
Oh, total.
So you
Plus,
went from
I had
more amps. You went up to 2,200 amps or something.
Whatever I did, I don't know. But what I also did is I had breakers put on each side of my house to plug a generator in to the panel on the outside. Of course, they ran the wires. I plug it into the panel here, and I plug it into the breaker box on the other side. And if the hurricane comes and the power goes out, the KOFB studio will be breezing in cool air and lights.
Will be.
Everybody else is.
We'll be good to go.
Absolutely. Plus, I have some. I don't have shutters. I don't have hurricane shutters. I have Kevlar.
Right.
Kevlar
coverings.
Stop
bullets and wind.
It's good stuff. It was pretty expensive, but it's just roll the stuff up, put it in a bag. People down here, they have plywood that once the hurricane's over, that plywood's going to sit on the side of their house for years because we haven't had anything down here in years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. As long as, hey, listen, we'll put it all, we'll spend all the money we need as long as Dr. Vera has peace of mind. See, growing up in the Philippines, they don't have hurricanes. They have typhoons.
Yeah, they get.
If typhoons, I've been through a typhoon, dude. That's a different kind of storm, buddy. That's a different kind of storm.
Yeah, that's got to be nuts.
Oh, yeah. So, all right, episode 47. Today.
Yeah, 47, and this one started out better than it's. Well, I had higher hopes because I messed up my own calendar. Thought I'd be meeting with Lydia Edwards this afternoon, and we'd have more to talk about. But that didn't go that way. However, there's plenty more to still talk about what's going on around town. We had an ORC, a review committee, the Ordinance Review Committee meeting, public hearing last Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Not as well attended as we thought. And you could look at it from two sides. It didn't go all night, which was a good thing. But we had hoped more people would be involved.
What was the agenda?
So, good question. Basically, we have a proposal that we're going to vote on, or multiple proposals that we're going to vote on tomorrow night to send to the council to vote, to send to the people via an election, getting it on the ballot. And so I think we have 5 or 6 proposals. So we're going to adjust the size of the council. We're talking about adjusting the size and term length of the council. We're talking about recall provisions. We're talking about attendance provisions. So if you miss, I'm going to forget the particulars, forgive me. But if you miss 3 meetings or 2 meetings in 1 month or 3 1/4 or something, you're you're automatically out.
I think their attendance is always pretty good, isn't it, for the town council meetings?
Yeah, we really, excuse me, we rarely have an issue with that. However, we did have a fairly big issue just a few years ago when we had the couple that was coupling instead of going to meetings, if you remember that scenario.
I don't, but
shall we say, puppy love began on the town council, and two people who were serving as councilors hooking up and were not coming public knowledge. I think they were both married. I think it became once out of embarrassment, they stopped showing up to the meetings altogether. And we had no way to replace him. So it sat open for a ridiculous amount of time that we couldn't do anything about.
Little Peyton Place action, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Peyton Place. So
all right. That's before your time, buddy.
Yeah, I was not. I had served, then wasn't serving, and now I'm doing the ORC. So I'm still not serving, to many people's delight. So there's other things on there. I'm trying to remember them all because some of them are kind of just struck language changes. The big one for me too, besides the term. So we want to change the council. Well, first of all, we want to change the councilors. I want to see them all be all at large. No more precincts. I'd like to see it be all at large.
Why?
Why?
Just, yeah.
Okay. Good question. Because
I'm full of good questions tonight.
Yeah. The positive to it is we can afford to pay them more because we can have less, because now the whole town can be covered instead of just covered by precincts. I guess the best way to answer that question is it's more about what's the argument for precincts. And the argument for precinct counselors is so that you can feel represented. You have representation within your kind of like your neighborhood.
Right.
Sometimes things cross over. And so that's where the at large comes into play. But within a town so small as Winthrop, I mean, everything affects everybody in Winthrop, right? Like the center business district affects the entire town because more tax revenue can be generated with an effective business district. So essentially my view is we can have less people, easier to fill seats. We can pay them a bit more money so we can get better candidates. And the whole town can be represented by who the best people are. And if we have the precinct, the at-large people being only 2 years, we'll get more people attracted to the position. They won't feel like they have to commit so long. And if they're doing a good job and they want to keep going, it should be easy to win the next election.
So you keep the term to 2 years.
Right. And then we expand the president to 4.
It has to be.
I agree with you. I mean, 2 years is ridiculous.
Yeah. 2 years for, well, hopefully this one in the White House right now doesn't go beyond 2 years.
Well, unfortunately.
I have to throw that in there.
Unless there's some things like an impeachment that goes.
It's coming. It's coming.
But yeah, I mean, look, your point is right. Like, not a lot of people understand the level of effort it is to run a council president election, and to do it every 2 years is really, and I'm, by the way, state senators like Lydia and state reps like Jeff have to run every 2 years. I that's a lot for them because they do a lot of work. I mean,
yeah, but like you said, if they gain momentum during those 2 years, then they have a good platform to continue their next 2.
And that's an interesting point you bring up. And this is where it kind of gets, for me, I don't like it. And you probably won't either. So yeah, if you're doing a good job, you're probably going to be a shoo-in for the next election. And a lot of times at the state level anyway, it's because it's almost these backroom deals. Like, I won't run if you do. Like, these people make promises to each other to stay out of each other's way, when I think everybody should be primaried every election cycle. And I hate to say it about my dear friend Jeff, but you get the best candidates when people have to earn the position every single term.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a double-edged sword. Well, that's how they create professional politicians, right? As soon as they're done with one election, they start working toward the next.
Yeah, that is a problem.
I
didn't even think
build
of that.
that war chest. They're always looking to the next election. So, because you can't sleep in that, because there's always someone waiting to unseat you. So it's a grind. It's a 2-year grind. I would imagine, being a state senator.
It is. It's like you're always fundraising, really. I mean, if Lydia and Jeff aren't fundraising right now, they're putting themselves in, well, Lydia not so much. Jeff knows where he sits, and we're happy to have gone. He's happy to have gone without a. We talked about this, without a competitor. It just makes his ability to work that much easier.
Yeah, but he's not 100% that'll be next time either. And
Right.
and I think when we spoke to him, I believe I said to him, it almost makes it harder because you could easily just glide in and not really make appointments and go to talk to people. Whereas now, if you're not being challenged, you have to kind of, I would think, go a little extra just to show people that you're not skating.
Right. Yeah.
You got to work a little harder to say, listen, I'm not taking this for granted. Because it's easy to point a finger at somebody and say, he doesn't. Nobody's challenging him.
And not that this isn't interesting, but we've gone a bit far afield. So I want to bring it back to the ORC, because there is another thing we're pushing forward is removing the variance, getting rid of variances. So this will this will make the process of being able to change a parcel for your use more thorough and take it out of the hands of the zoning approval board or appeals board, right? The guys that hear, okay, what was it? Shore Drive wanted to do what number Shore Drive was that project?
I forget, it was like 29 or something.
Right. That board would no longer decide whether or not to grant the variance, because you'd have to go for a complete zoning change. Like you'd have to go to the appeals board, the zoning board, the town council. No more variances. That's so that you cannot, because by the way, and Kurt brought this up numerous times. So kudos to Kurt Millar.
Always.
Kurt brought this up, that he mentioned that you're supposed to have a hardship. When you apply for a variance, in order to award a variance,
Yes.
it's supposed to be satisfying a hardship. Not having enough parking spots for a 15-unit condo is not a hardship.
Exactly. And they let them come back 4 times. Once was a cancel. They gave them 4 appointments.
Right.
Which again, it always affects the neighbors. They're on pins and needles leading up to this. So I agree. I agree 100%. If they have to, jump through hoops to get what they want, if they make it past all 3, and is that how it's going to go?
They have to
phase 3.
They have to face
would be the town council.
All 3. Then I'm not sure if it goes appeals council zoning or zoning. It probably goes zoning council appeals. That seems the most logical, right? Like, we want a zoning change. Okay, here's the zoning change. Now the town council votes, and if they don't get what they want, they appeal, right? Wouldn't that seem like the right process?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
and then the variance that kicks in.
Right. Then they have the right. That's how I understand it anyway. But there's more to come, right? Because we're probably we took some feedback. So the long and the short of the whole meeting is we went into this thing more open-minded than I went into this thing more open-minded than I thought I was going to, just because people did bring up some good points. Unfortunately, some of it was outside of our scope, which one of them is really, we had Airbnb on there and we could technically do something about it, but there's a lot more to learn about Airbnb, because I'm of 2 minds. I was in one camp solidly at one point. I am of 2 minds of that right now, and it's going to be hard for me to make up my mind.
So what's the issue with Airbnb?
So, well, let's use Fort Lauderdale by the Sea, since we're both familiar with the kind of the layout of that area, right?
Yes.
It's a great place to go and visit. It's got nice restaurants, the Aruba, a couple places right down in that little area. And a lot of people have turned their homes or whatever, if they were homes, second homes, whatever they were, into Airbnb.
Right.
So the first thing you'll notice in some of them in Lauderdale by the Sea, the first one we stayed at, I come to find out a few months after, 3 houses on that street were Airbnb. And as I reflected back on the look and feel of the neighborhood, I did notice that just a street over, that street had much more curb appeal in all its homes than the one that had the multiple Airbnbs. Those were looking a little run down. The front lawns weren't being kept. There wasn't. It just didn't look well landscaped. They were just clean, but not green. If that makes sense,
Right.
When if you just went one street over, you had lush green lawns, people really taking care of their properties. Now, of course, listen, it's your property. Do what you want. For the most part, do what you want with it, right? I
don't think two streets though makes a decision.
No, and this is a good point, because I just wonder. The thing that got me, Scott, was I have a shared driveway. Okay.
Right.
I don't know if I'd like every other week strangers coming up and down my shared driveway. You know what I mean? It just is a recipe for me for a real problem. Blocking the driveway, getting in my, we have a, maybe not shared, but our driveways touch. And so if someone could end up in my driveway, there's just a lot of, and I've stayed in plenty of Airbnbs, and we're great guests. We're clean, we're quiet, but we're not sitting out on the stoop like neighbors talking to the neighbors. And that does, if you really think about, there's probably not much of that in Florida, but remember how it was up here. You sat on your front porch and your friend sat on theirs, and everyone kind of came together.
Yeah.
You lose that angle too. I don't know. That's just some things I'm riffing about. I'll stop. You probably have some input there.
No. So what you said, you're of two minds. What's the other mind?
Why not? It's your house. You need to make money on it, right? Is it really hurting anybody if it's done right? That's kind of the other side of it. And then there's the side that just it's not really opinion. It's either can you enforce the permitting and licensing rules or not? And we're having a hard time enforcing the licensing. Some people are legitimate Airbnb business owners. They're on all the Airbnb websites. They pay the fees. They get the inspections. It's the safety issue. They do it. But there's way more people not doing that. And we're at a bit now. That's not our purview. That's where it fell outside of the ordinance review committee's purview. We don't oversee enforcement, and that is the crux of the problem, is enforcing the rules as they sit today.
By Airbnb?
By Winthrop inspectional services, I think. I might be out of line on that one. So if anybody that's watching wants to correct me, feel free. I don't want to get the inspectional services, another department, pissed off at me.
Well, I would think also, as far as Airbnbs go, it is your house. And if you have a shared driveway, you knew that going in.
Yep.
So that's not why should you hold me back because you don't want to share your driveway. You don't want a stranger driving your driveway. And most Airbnbs are quiet. People come in and then they leave. They're usually in for a couple days and then they leave. So, and again, I don't think that by what you saw in Fort Lauderdale, it speaks for everything,
No, but there certainly is an element of that.
And by the way, Lauderdale by the Sea is not the most upper class place in Fort Lauderdale. I'll tell you that.
That's true.
that is a very, very middle class area in a great spot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that we'd be. Do you guys even have Airbnbs in Boca?
Yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you have them in your gated community too? Or
no, the association voted against it. They voted against it. And again, I guess that's the difference between being in a private community as opposed to a public community like Winthrop.
Well, that's I think personally,
and it has something to do with business. Like you can't run a business out of your house.
Right.
Here you can't use it. You can't use your house. I forget what the exact thing is, but you can't use your house as an LLC in this community. They'll kick you out.
I would on this particular topic, because I'm so kind of wishy on it, because like I said, I would, if I have a say, I'm not going to allow a Airbnb next to me if there's anything I can do about it, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So rather than that, I would say let the people decide and just Put it on a ballot.
It's always the right way to do it.
You know, right? Yeah, because it's starting to become like we could present to the council an ordinance to ban them. We could do that. We've already gotten a legal opinion, and I know I'm like I don't want to get into that. I don't want to be part of that. But I think that should be the people's choice.
I wonder if that's ever been a precedent that's been set by a town. Like the whole town just says, no, we don't want Airbnbs. Like the town council says it.
Right. That's a good question.
You know,
sure, we could.
Has any town ever banned? Because anybody can do it. You know, it gives the opportunity to make money.
I think, like generally speaking, making money is great, right? So let's just take my opinion out of it. If we're gonna do it, and we cannot enforce it better, then we shouldn't do it because it's unfair to the people who are getting the inspections done, paying their taxes, right? It's unfair to them that because there's at least 70%, I think, that are cheating. And if there's 30 or so people, homes doing it, or rooms, or however it's broken down, I'm assuming Airbnbs come in the form of a room or a whole house, right? Or a whole apartment or something.
Yeah. Why isn't it fair to the other people?
Well, because they're not paying. What I'm saying is if they're not getting their fees, if they're not registering and getting a license and inspection, that's not fair.
Well, that's called an illegal apartment.
Essentially, it's not legal.
And you have a renter in your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably think that there's about 100 illegal apartments in Winthrop as we speak.
That's a whole other issue.
Yeah. But I think it would fall under that then. I mean, if somebody, so the house next to you turns into an Airbnb, or so you think, and there's heavy traffic coming in and out. Well, then you just say, hey, look on Airbnb, see if they're even listed. Right? And if they're listed, then they have to be paying fees, or they get reported. If they get reported, they get pulled off the site.
Yeah, so some don't use Airbnb. There's other sites that don't require that. And then there's also the idea that you can use Craigslist. Like you can list and not show your address.
I thought Craigslist was dead.
Well, it's not quite dead yet, but there are other options. I mean, it is pretty
certain sections of Craigslist, I guess, have been eliminated.
It's barely breathing from my understanding.
The personals have been eliminated from what I understand.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the best way. You're right. I think we agree that the best way to get this done is to just put it to a vote and call it a day. And then and everyone can say the majority ruled. And if you don't like it, move. Yeah.
Well, majority rules, you can't argue with it.
That's it.
Yeah, you really can't argue with it.
And I think, quite frankly, it could become a very, very personal issue if you've got an appointed board or an elected board even coming down on this one way or the other. I think it's better to just put it out to the people.
Yeah, you don't want to set the council or a board up for a lawsuit either.
No, you don't.
Even if it's a frivolous one, it's still a pain in the ass. Yeah.
That's
so that was it for that? For the meeting, pretty much.
That's it. I mean, it was, it got a little testy at times, but we are excited to be voting and hopefully be done on Wednesday because it was a lot of work. But I do want to say on it, just I know some of the folks watch. I know Jim sometimes watches. I hope he watches this one at some point. This was a great board, despite the fact that there are two folks that sit on the board that I am in complete disagreement with on most issues. It was good to have them on the board because they keep, my ideas in my head, or if I blurted them out and we debated them, got tested, challenged, and made better, because they had perspectives that I didn't. And it just shows how important it is to have, when we talk diversity, to me, that was a diverse board and it was well appointed and we worked really well together. And I'm actually quite proud of the work we've done, candidly.
All right. This is a great segue for what I want to talk about. Who does
before you go?
Yeah.
I know we're going to get beat up on something. Go.
Okay. So I went on the Winthrop town website today, and I had said this before about this show. We always will circle back. There's always things we circle back on. It's not like we have one issue and then we jump to the next and we forget what we talked about a month ago. And I believe we've talked about this a few times on this show. There's a number of, let me see, I'm just gonna, of boards and committees and commissions. So let me give you, how many boards, commissions, and committees total do you think Winthrop has?
30.
Off by 5. There's 25.
Wow, that was close.
Right? So there's 25 boards / commissions / committees. And there is a serious inconsistency with these boards, commissions, committees. And the inconsistency is the minutes. Now, I'm going to go down a few. I'm going to just read off. Some of them are on the ball. Some of them aren't. Some of them I don't even know if they exist. So let me go down the line. And
before you do that, I'm going to make a prediction. The vast majority of the ones that are going to be on the money, doing it right, are the elected boards. So the town council, school committee, and all the boards that they appoint. Go ahead.
All right. So I'll start with the Board of Appeals. I go to the minutes. I hit the hyperlink, and here's the meetings, right? The board. So the Board of, I'm not going to go through the minutes. Board of Appeals, the last submitted minutes for that was March 31st, meeting minutes. April, May, June, July, August. 5 months ago. Right. Well, 4. We'll say 4. Right. So then you go to, let me see. And that was 2022. Board of Assessors, 2022. Their last assessors meeting minutes was 2/22/22. Okay? That they were I wonder if they did that on purpose. So then you go to the next one. I know the Board of Health is up to par. Board of License Commission. Some of these, 2022, okay? March 14th, 2022. Those are the only minutes you're going to get if you go on this site. Citizens Advisory Committee on Finance. 2021 was the last time minutes were
Citizens Finance
Advisory Committee on Finance meeting minutes.
2021.
2021. October 14th, 2021. Those are the only minutes you're going to get. Those are the most updated minutes you're going to get. And I'm getting to a point here. I'm going to get
so far these are all appointed, not elected.
Okay. Commission for Diversity, Inclusion.
Yep, appointed.
2021. December 8th, 2021 was the last time minutes were submitted. Right?
That coincides with us breaking their chops about it, just for the record.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Conservation Committee, 2020. I know we have a Conservation Committee.
We do.
2020, January 22nd, 2020 was the last. Those are the most recent minutes you're going to get. Economic Development Committee. Does that even exist?
No idea on that one.
2017.
We're being challenged. Father Walter says we're wrong.
I'm looking right on the town website, Father Walter. I'm looking right on the link, the hyperlink on the town website, Town of Winthrop, Massachusetts. Right?
Yep.
Town of Winthrop, Massachusetts. I believe I'm on. Yeah, minutes and agendas, Winthrop, Mass. I Googled it. It comes up, gives you the town website. Then it gives you the minutes and agendas. Now, agendas are all up to speed, it seems like. But there's a list of, you can't really see it on this phone. There's a list of every committee. And I just randomly went in there and started picking things. Scholarship Committee, I don't even know if that exists. The Planning Board. The Planning Board is pretty up to speed, right? You would think they were 2022, and I think they were, May. And, going into the summer,
We do.
I would give them a little leeway there. Town council. Let's see when the last time their minutes. 2022, June 7th. So they're up to speed, right?
Yeah, that. Yeah. So I'm gonna while you're reading this, I want to jump in for 1 minute. There is a debate right now. Not really like an active. We're all sitting down debating. It's just kind of a conversation among the appointed and elected class that are saying, does this fall under, do committees like the one I'm on actually fall under the purview of the open meeting law because we're not elected people? So do we have to adhere to the same exact rules? I think morally, I guess, I would suggest that, yeah, we should do it. Even if it's not legal, we should do our damnedest to try to encapsulate the meeting the best we can, keep order, etc., just so we have a productive meeting and there's a record of the meeting for the public to be able to review if they'd like to. On that point, there's another point, and Father Walter makes it. He says submitting versus posted. There is some lag time. Seems to be a little bit greater than it used to be. Not sure if there's more of a workload. If my endless FOIA requests are slowing things down. Who knows? I'm not, this is worth the conversation, but I want to just throw that in there and I'll give you back the mic.
You yield?
I yield to the gentleman.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Father Walter for more time. I need more time, Father Walter. Thank you. Thank you. A little extension. Thank you, Father Walter. Okay, I could go down the line. Middle School Site Review Development Committee. See, and I'm going to go, and that's 2017, right? So I'm going to counter what you just said, where maybe there's a lag in posting, blah, blah, blah. Then why is some up to date and some aren't?
Well, I would suggest that the elected bodies are face punishment. So that's the answer for them.
Is the planning board elected?
No.
They're up to speed.
So they're
diligent. Is the Board of Health elected?
Nope.
They're up to speed. I can go down the line. There are ones. There are. Okay, look at this one. The Winthrop Air Pollution, Noise, and Airport Hazards Committee. That's pretty important.
I agree.
That's a pretty important committee in Winthrop. So I live on 130 Locust Way, okay? And I don't get a chance to go to the town council meetings because I work till 7 o'clock at night in the city, right? And I get home and I'm just wondering, I wonder what's been going on with that, right? So I go on the town website. I see minutes. Oh, great. I can see what's going on because I hate the planes. I hate the planes going over. There's more and more every day, blah, 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 blah. Then I go and I say, the Winthrop Air Pollution, Noise, let's see what they've been up to. Let's see what they're doing. 2020. Is it that much of a lag, Todd? Is it that much of a lag time? Years? No. We're talking years?
Well, now clearly you're going to see that in cases like that, there probably haven't been minutes submitted, right?
So,
like you submit
but they had some before.
The town clerk puts them up. That's
so
how
they submitted minutes all the way up to 2020 and then just said,
I don't know. Did they? Are you looking at it right now?
I'm looking right at it. I'll tell you right now.
Minutes in there from 2020?
Yeah, from the October 21st, 2020. Yeah.
Here's a question. How often do they meet? And who's the chairman?
So the board members are, I can go down, let me see.
Yeah, read all the board members. If you don't mind.
Board members for that one, the chairman is Gina Cassetta.
Don't know her.
Vice Chairman Jerry Falbo.
Oh, yep, Jerome Falbo.
Secretary Don Quirk. Members of Valentino Capabianco. Barbara Bishop for Speaker DeLeo.
I think the member list needs to be updated.
Richard Bangs, David Phillips, and Linda Cargill. Okay, I'm Joe Citizen in Winthrop. And I think some of these people, I think they're all like, these are the people. Are these even the members now? Right?
I don't know. That's a really good. I mean, there is some out-of-date information on that website for sure.
Wasn't Let me see. That's from 2019. So let me go to 2020. Let me go to this one. Okay, board members. Gina Cassetta, Jerry Falbo, Hannah Belcher, Secretary Hannah Belcher.
Well,
Members are Richard Bangs, Josephine Fada, Valentino Capabianco, Linda Cargill, Barbara Bishop, for Speaker DeLeo. So did they just decide in 2020 we don't have to do this because, well, if no one's paying attention, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to see it, does it make a noise?
how many? All right, maybe. All right, let me play that out a little. Maybe that it's a COVID thing, and they're still not quite confident that COVID's over.
They can't submit minutes through the computer? Do they?
Maybe they haven't met.
Are we in the 70s where you take a piece of paper and you hand it in
I'm
to a
trying.
secretary and say, "Hey, can you put this here? I need you to put this into the town record. I need this to go on the town website." Are we in a paper world or are we in a
I'm trying.
cyber world? I know.
No, I think we're in a slate and a hammer and chisel world again.
Well, I mean, this Joe Citizen, I'm sure I'm not the only one that looks at this. I'm sure I'm not.
Come on, you must be, Scott.
I know. Well, evidently, if the last time you submitted minutes, and you can say I submitted them and they must not have gotten put on the website, but some have
Right.
recently.
Yep.
So I think, and I believe Father Walter if he says he submitted the minutes after they've been approved. So I would put it on Father Walter, my friend, to do some investigation on that. Say, why weren't my minutes submitted? Because, well, I just got called out on the Winthrop Votes live stream. Seen every Monday night at 8 o'clock on the Winthrop Facebook group.
Don't miss it.
Plug.
Plug.
I'm serious, though. I'm serious. It doesn't look good. And I believe that if he says he did it, he did it. But I don't see it. And I'm Joe Citizen. Minutes are for people to see what was talked about. Right?
Well, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
How do you feel about all of these meetings just automatically being recorded and stored for eternity?
Well, as Joe Citizen, I have to go search through like video after video, or they'll be dated, and I'll go and watch the committee.
So I guess that would just be an option, right? So you can find them online, you can file a FOIA request for, and what I'm suggesting is, how can Joe Citizen, how can we, how can our government be more efficient and better at this job of recording minutes, submitting minutes, getting them approved and posted, etc.? How can we be better at this?
Make it a mandate.
You got to enforce it. I mean,
why can't you?
You can, but you
If
tell me.
you-
You're
if
the
you
law,
listen,
you know what
if you-
enforcement takes.
If you volunteer,
Mm.
so there's two things going on here. If you volunteer to be on a board, and you volunteer to be the secretary or the minutes keeper, right? Then you need to do your due diligence, right? And I'll tell you what, the appeals board is like reading a book. Like every page it's like 7 pages. They're very detailed. It's impressive. It's impressive. Their minutes are impressive.
Those are good minutes.
Like I started scrolling, like I'm not reading all this. Like this is a lot.
Yeah, most minutes, if you just sat back and pulled up the minutes to a meeting, most times if you weren't in the meeting, wouldn't make a damn lick of sense to you.
Exactly.
They really don't.
I don't understand how some minutes are current and others aren't. And how come there's active boards that have stopped. Well, let me see, that have stopped at 2020, but they're active today. You know, that means to me that they've just been submitting or they're not submitting and it's sitting in someone's desk. You know, I say that, of course, in a file in their computer, which I don't think that's true because some of them are getting posted. So who is it? Someone says recording minutes is a double-edged sword. Transparency versus honest conversation.
That's Father Walter.
Well, yeah, and I agree with that. I agree that both should be in the minutes. Transparency and the honest conversation. Because if you're having an honest conversation and it goes, that's transparency if it goes into the minutes. Then you can look and say, these guys are kind of, this is, but I want to know more specifically the issues that you guys are talking about. At least get a little background. And it's someone can read it and be able to look at someone could read the minutes and say, wow, I didn't know that. And it might just induce them to go to a meeting.
Right.
I think it could happen. But this is a mess, and I can't say it enough. If 3 or 4 or 5 of those committees are current and the rest aren't, then something's wrong. If someone's in 2020, but they're an active group, something's wrong. An active committee. And I believe that airport committee has to be active.
I think they are. I thought I just saw a post on Facebook with the phone number to call for noise.
Kurt says post the minutes on the website are an option, not a legal requirement. Yeah, I understand that, Kurt. But my point is, why are some put on the website and others not? How am I supposed to know what's going on? Why do they even say minutes then? Then don't even put them in the minutes category. Put them in the agenda category. Just eliminate it. But it's still not right. I think every committee, council, commission should submit minutes. If they are volunteering their time to serve the public, then they need to go the distance. It's not hard to submit minutes. Ask Father Walter. It's not hard. You volunteered for it.
Who do you want to put a standard on what they should look like?
Well, each topic that was talked about, you can put, I guess it's minutes are, Todd Sacco talking, brings up the point, blah, 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 blah. Scott, member Scott McLean came back with or didn't come, it's something like that. Let us know.
Recording of the vote.
Minutes are usually a synopsis.
Yep.
Of
Very
the
much
meeting.
So. Yep.
You can't be verbatim. It just won't. Then it would be a book. I think the assessment board is verbatim.
It might be. They might actually record it and then just, that's, if I were the minutes taker, I would want to be part of the conversation. So I would just record it and later I would kind of take the highlights out of the recordings.
Well, you can do what's a transcribe.
Yeah, just let it.
Transcribe is easy. Just
turn it on.
Yeah. So I just got a text. The town of Winthrop has a website, right? That I was just reading off. The taxpayers pay for that website, correct? Shouldn't the website be used for the primary source of information for the residents of Winthrop?
There is a Massachusetts law that actually says for posting meetings as a matter of legal requirement is only the bulletin board and town hall is the only place we have to post a meeting. Don't have
but
to put it
that's
online.
been like that. I know. Town crier, ding, 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 yep. Ding, ding. Hear ye.
We got to bring things into the 21st century for sure. But that's what stands on. So that's the point to that.
So if I'm a taxpayer, guess what? I'm right.
What do you mean?
I'm paying for that. Part of my tax money is paying for this website. Those websites aren't free.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
So if you're going to do it for some, do it for all. If you're going to put, this is telling me that people aren't submitting them. From 2020, now I believe probably Father Walter submitted his, and sure, there might be a backlog because some of these go back. Am I boring you?
Yes.
Jesus.
I just had my mouth open. I was catching flies.
You yawned and wiped your eyes. I saw the sleep fall out of it.
They're not very exciting. I'm sorry.
I think I am. Well, I'm passionate about this because people are sending me text messages.
I didn't say not excitable.
People are sending me text. Shouldn't the town enact a policy concerning the use of the website? Right? Someone said, if no policies exist, then there is absolutely no guidelines for each of the boards, commissions, departments, etc. to follow. Just do whatever you want. And tell us your results.
Oh, but it's kind of like that in a way.
I think that's wrong. I'm John Q. Public, as they used to say.
Yes, you are.
I want to know what's going on.
And you want to
know what's going on in that committee. And Why am I getting the assessment committee's full updated and the town council's full updated and the planning board's full updated minutes, but I'm not getting it from the airport committee, the ordinance committee, the diversity committee? But again, I'm only saying what I see, Father Walter. So don't get mad at me.
Don't condemn him.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. I don't know.
I don't necessarily. So for me, I'm actually wanting to hear more about this on the non-elected people. I would like to discuss more, not necessarily on the show, by the way, just in general, what the obligation is, and then the town take it upon ourselves to maybe craft some type of ordinance that says, okay, what do we want to do if we're going to appoint people because we want to keep the information organized, up to date, etc. That's the approach I'd want to take. But
so I would say get rid of the website if it's not going to be used appropriately and effectively. Just get rid of it.
Go on it and see how DOS based it looks. I mean, it is like government websites are like so old looking. So bad.
Well, again, there's something. I just think it's wrong. I think it's wrong that the public doesn't get to see. That's not transparency. And I don't care about the elected, unelected, volunteer. You volunteered. Then if you don't want to go the distance, quit. Don't get in there just for the glamour and say, I have a voice in there. And then, okay, I'll take the minutes because it's not on someone like you. You're not doing the minutes. I'll take the minutes. Well, maybe the committee head should say, listen, what's going on? Maybe that should be part of the agenda every meeting. Did you submit last meeting's minutes? That should maybe be the first. That's not too hard.
No, it's not.
No, that's not too hard. So you first look at the agenda. First thing on the agenda, ask the recording secretary, did you submit last month's recording minutes? There's also what does that say? There's also relatively inexpensive software which a minute keeper can utilize to make minutes much easier to do.
Yes, yeah. That's coming from someone with legal background in our audience. Understands it's like a stenographer software, I think. Look, I'll add this to so you're right, Scott, right? We want things to be transparent, but I'll also say transparency is also important. We want things to be above board. We want stuff to get done. And there are a lot of examples of boards that are getting things done. The Ordinance Review Board finally being one of them. I mean, we've had, I think this is the third or fourth appointed board committee, whatever you want to call it, that's tried to make an attempt. And I believe we're going to be the first ones to actually submit something to the council to consider. And so the main point I'm driving at is you're right. If you're not going to go all the way and things aren't going to get done, don't do it. And candidly, you could probably look up, I don't know if all of our minutes are being posted, but I do know and give credit to Bob Carley. Bob Carley does an excellent job of taking minutes and submitting them. Where they are, I don't know. Because once we send them to the town clerk, we should probably follow up and see where they are.
I would, if they didn't
Make sure
appear within a reasonable time, give her 2 weeks. But like I said, she evidently has time because she's submitting these other ones.
Right.
You know?
Yep, that's true. And who knows?
If they were all from 2020, 2021, January 2022, then I would say, okay, I see a trend here. Okay. But it's not. It's all over the place.
Chaotic. Yeah, it's absolute. There's no pattern to it. It just tells you that really what it comes down to is you've got some boards that are more diligent than others. And then where it falls down from there to the town clerk, I'm not sure. What does her inbox look like? I have no idea.
Then get her an assistant.
But we've got some issues at town hall for sure. There's no question about it.
So you know what else you have? You have students in Winthrop. You have pretty smart students.
And they need public
that would love to
hours.
Volunteer. They would love to volunteer to come in, get 2 of them. If she needs 3 of them, give 3 of them the volunteer hours. Give them the public service hours, whatever they're called.
Right.
Give it to them and say, here, I need you to submit this. These kids, they grew up on a computer. They don't know anything else.
They don't.
So I think that's maybe something that could be looked at.
Well, let's get Jim back. We can talk about that with the town council president. I think it's time for an update. We're at the 7-month mark, are we?
We
not?
talked to him about that around the end of June when I was up there for the party.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna have to put some pressure on that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. He did say it's about that time.
Yep. It's about time.
Let me see. November. He got elected in November, right? Took over in January.
Born in January. So he's 6 months.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah. Going into 7 months.
Finishing up 7 months.
7 months. Yeah.
Want to talk to the I do want to reach out to the town manager too. He was unsure. He wanted to get in the seat first before he committed to coming on here.
Yeah, of course. Just have him listen. I think the best thing to do would be have him talk to Chief Delahanty about how we do business on this show.
I also, by the way, I bumped into the fire chief, the new fire chief. I got to reach out to him, get a date. He wants to come on. He wants to.
Great.
Happy to talk to us. It'd be nice to get the new fire chief on here and get his perspective on things.
You know, and it wouldn't be bad if we could snag Chief Delahanty again and kind of get a rundown. Like, how do you feel? Like, just ask him the experience of wearing both of those hats, because when he was on, he was still wearing both of those hats. So you have to kind of be a little, and he's a political animal. It's part of the job. I know that in law enforcement. Chiefs are political animals. They have to be. They have no choice. Yeah. But I would like to get him on and kind of pick his brain, get his point. He's pretty upfront.
He is. I have to reach out to him again too. So we certainly do have some time. We're coming into an election, so we've got some time to start getting involved with the local people and start getting some feel for what they're feeling, what they think of Jim should be the first one, I think, or actually Scott, I think, will be the first one, then Jim. We'll see how it works.
The fire chief.
Yeah, the fire chief.
And who is that?
Scott Wiley.
Okay.
The new fire chief.
Is he from? Is he come up
from
the ranks in
firehouse? He climbed the ranks. I don't know if he was entirely in Winthrop his whole career. I don't know, but I do know he's been here for a little bit at least, because he was working there when Flanagan was the chief. So he was a promotion from within, and his peeps showed up.
Good. It's always good to have someone come from within.
Yeah,
they have roots.
And I don't know if you've seen Scott, but I do want to just address something regarding the Mass 5 state, senator, the Catherine Clark seat.
The candidate.
Yeah. The candidate is Carolyn Colarusso. We're going to be having her on. I think in August we've booked her. We booked her to come on, but I think we need to start taking that seat more seriously. There's a lot of I'll give you an example of what I mean. So I reached out to someone in Winthrop who had assured me that he was an open-minded person. He's a well-connected person in Winthrop. He has many relatives in Winthrop. He has a lot of connections in DC. I think most people who watch this will know who I'm talking about, but the bottom line is I reached out and through text, we had a text conversation. I was disappointed in the conversation because I was led to believe that he was a open-minded person and would consider the best candidate. That was how he positioned himself to me. So I asked him about this race, and he said, like most people, and his response to me was, like most people in Massachusetts, I'm not paying attention to that race because it's not going to be a contest. Well, I'm sorry. I understand that is the going idea, but the reason that's the going idea is because of what he just said to me in that text. This political bootlicking has got to stop, because how can you know if it's not a race if you don't talk to the person and hear out their platform and give them a chance? Like, you shut them down out of hand. That just didn't sit well with me, and I think we need to work hard to get this person some air.
A Democratic dog can get elected in Massachusetts.
I realize
as long as it's a Democratic dog.
I realize that. Yeah,
you can put a Democratic dog up against a conservative Republican person, and the dog might win. The dog has a chance.
I mean, Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on.
I look, she's running as a Republican. She's strong on 2A. But she realizes she's in Massachusetts as well, right? And like
Yeah.
her issues, as much as she might be strong on 2A, in the end, her issues are going to be what's going to be most important to the state. And she's the right for me. She impressed me because she's all about the kids. She wants them to have more choices than being stuck in these schools that are being destroyed from the inside out. Some much quicker than others, and it happens to be the schools that are in the poorest districts are the ones that have been destroyed from the inside out the fastest, and then some much slower and more deliberate, more taking like erosion almost, right? Like it's just taking a long time, and she's on that, and I where you have Catherine Clark could care less. Everything's a talking point coming out of her mouth. She's not about the local people. She's already running for Assistant Speaker of the House underneath Nancy Pelosi.
And how many times has she been? How long has she been in that seat?
I think she's running for her second term now.
She's running for her second term, and she's already looking for the
assistant. Yeah, she's
under
already running
Pelosi.
for it. She's already kind of running for it as we speak. She was in a debate. I put the debate up on the.
That's hoping that they don't get swept by a red wave in November.
Well, they're not
And
going to
then
have
they
a
don't have a
Speaker of the
chance.
House for a little while. I mean, I think everyone, when you have six, I hate to go national here, but hey, this is where it matters actually, right? Like this is where you got to pay attention locally. Caroline Colarusso would be a red vote in a Senate that's right now blue, which, depending on how you think the country's going, is a good or bad thing, right?
Right.
Point is, she'd be a voice for many, many people in this state that aren't being heard, because Catherine Clark is, like many of the Democrats these days, are pandering to the smallest percentage of their base. Very small percentage of their base.
Well, it seems to be working. And then there's the robots that automatically vote Democrat.
Oh, right. Well, you got the people that vote all the way down the line. So yeah. So anyway,
and that goes for the conservatives too.
That's right.
I'm not just pointing fingers. It's but in Massachusetts, it's not a stretch. Like I said, if there was a Democratic dog against a conservative Republican person, the dog has a chance.
If you live in Winthrop and you've at all paid attention to local elections, okay, and I'm talking about the town council, and you've all paid attention to appointments too, you see what happens when you have political moves being made, right? We have a town council right now that is so inexperienced and so green that it's making Jim's job, the council president's job, 10 times harder, because he has to spend so much more time helping some of the newer people, keeping an eye on things that are, the budgetary things that he's really the only one that has a clue about right now. So I guess the point being is, it's really time to stop with the ideology. It's really time to start thinking about the person who's talking about the things that are most important at the time. And right now, if we don't all agree, or at least the majority of us don't agree, that our public schools are in some trouble, maybe we need to go back and start re-educating again about what's going on inside those four walls.
They're not in trouble in Florida.
No, they're not. No, not those. Not. They don't have the same problems we have.
Yeah, but to be the devil's advocate, there's people watching right now that say you're wrong. They believe that that's the way it should be, right?
That's true.
So, we can always argue. I'm on, and of course, I'm with you.
Well,
but
to those people who say I'm wrong, I'm only wrong because you disagree with my worldview. But I'm not wrong in the fact that if your kid was in that school, Winthrop as an example, you'd want to be heard. And right now, you think you're heard, but you're not. Your voice is meaningless. I'm a parent who not only obviously writes a property tax check to help pay for that school, but I give when I can. We send supplies as they ask. We volunteer. We do it all. And I do not have the voice I want to have in that school district. I do not want kindergarten through third grade teachers having conversations about
gender,
puberty blockers. Yeah. genital mutilation surgery or whatever they want to call. I don't want that happening in my school, and it can right now.
Which still amazes me. These kids,
it's legal to do that now in Winthrop.
These kids can't even figure out Sesame Street, but they think it's right to talk to them about this. You know, you can see that there was studies, they were filmed with kids where an adult talks to a child and can literally convince them, you know, did you shoot John F. Kennedy? No. Are you sure? Yeah, I did it.
Right.
You did? Yeah. Because that's what the adult wants to hear. These kids read this. The adult is the authority figure.
That's
and
right.
The kid reads it and is not going to argue with an adult that they're trained not to. You know?
Right.
And the fact that these teachers take advantage of that because they think it's right, leave the children alone. But they want to go to the lowest denominator. If we can get them young, then they're guaranteed to grow up on our side, part of the Borg.
So I was challenged a while ago. This is a semi-interesting story. Challenged about, you know, you say you're open-minded to voting on the other side of the aisle. When's the last time you voted for a Democrat in a national election? I said, I voted for Clinton the first time. I haven't voted Democrat since. He said, why? I said, okay, that's a great question. I said, the reason why is because I thought it was the whole moral thing, because I saw Bill Clinton. Yeah, I know so many politicians have cheated on their wives, isn't that the other thing? But what he was doing was different. Not only was he like they point to Newt Gingrich. Well, Newt Gingrich married the woman he was cheating on his wife with. Bill Clinton was a scumbag and was manipulating a young woman with his power. Right. We all know the story.
We all know the story. Yeah.
Right. So, but now it's changed. It's changed because I made this point recently to someone who I've been talking to from the other side. You know, we're working through things, and this will stay quiet for a while. But anyway, we were chatting, and I had said, look, the Democrats have no bottom right now, and that's what they knowingly. And this is true. You can't not believe that this isn't true. You don't think that people like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and all these folks in Washington, D.C. and who are around the president, have been in the White House, that are Democrats, that know that the teachers union is dumping so much money into their coffers to keep them elected so that the union bosses of the teachers unions can be in power so they can rub elbows. You don't think all of those people involved don't know that children have been hurt by this, that the money they've siphoned out of schools through this process to maintain power and control has hurt kids? And it's not just, I mean, again, I've said this before, the middle class for the most part will manage. The Democrats are hurting the poor the most, the very people they claim to be caring about. They have no bottom until this is separated, until they come clean with their relationship with the teachers union and admit this. They're not worth voting for. These are kids, period.
I leave the kids alone.
That's
Seriously. When you start getting into that with children, that was absolutely unheard of 10 years ago.
That's right.
That was absolutely, that is as taboo as it gets. Prove me wrong. When you start talking to children to try to change it, that is hands-off territory. But you don't see conservatives doing it.
They have been pushing the 1619 project. I mean, how long did it started a long time ago in a different way, Scott, though. It started with, it's the white man wrote the Constitution. Slave owners wrote the Constitution. They started getting more bold and started saying, oh, they were rapists and murderers. Oh, Christopher Columbus, the rapist, and this and it just, now it's, oh, they hate everybody. I mean, it just built. It just turned into this thing, and it's in the school systems now, and we've got to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll be dead before that happens, probably. But
well, all right, buddy.
Whatever. Another good night.
Hour in.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, it's an hour and 5 minutes, really.
Is that what the time says?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we didn't rant, did we? No ranting allowed?
No, I think you and I had a pretty brisk discussion.
Nice.
You know, you were there, weren't you?
I think, I don't know.
What's wrong, man?
So I'm rewatching the Game of Thrones, and I'm
phasing out.
Yeah, I'm my eyes are turning white. Like, what's his name? Bron Stark.
Why are you watching that, dude? Knowing it's the worst ending in television history.
Such a bad ending.
The last 2 seasons were just horrendous.
Yeah, they stretched.
That's why they say it's like the least watched, like what replay, like on HBO. It's everybody watching went, whoa, what just happened?
Now, the first 6 seasons.
You got this bad mother Ice Walker, throws a freaking spear, kills a dragon. The guy kills a dragon with an ice spear, right? Turns the dragon into a zombie.
And they still
this little 5 foot tall, 105 pound comes running out of nowhere with an and kills that guy.
So stupid.
Are you kidding me?
I won't get that far. I'll stop at 6, maybe 7. 6, I should say. 'Cause you're right. The last 2 seasons were not good.
Oh my! And then what
they took everything out of it. But the first
they have her go crazy. Killing everybody.
That's too
all right, buddy. Let's take us out.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen. This was fun, as always. And I'll say it, right? What do I say every week? Politics starts at the local level. So, we keep finding ways to tie it to how it affects national level. So please pay attention. Thank you for joining. Tell your friends, share, and share some more. And by the way, I do want to say one more thing on the way out. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. I want to send my thoughts, prayers, heartfelt feelings. We lost. Winthrop lost a 19-year-old boy. There's a funeral tonight for the young Bailey child. My thoughts and prayers are with the Bailey family tonight and going forward.
Yeah, God bless. God bless. And like I always say, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for participating. You are the engine that runs this machine. Without you, it would just be me talking to Todd. And, well, isn't that what the show is, actually? Do we really need the audience? I don't know.
We think they're here.
We think they're yeah. No, always, as usual. We truly appreciate your time. And we're going to try to bring you the best shows that we can, because it is about Winthrop. Although we stray sometimes, but hey, we're coming up on episode 50, so you better get a big guest from the town.
God, I got to do something.
For episode 50, I'm putting the pressure on you.
All right, we'll deliver. We'll deliver.